The person who is offended by something that I say in all goodwill is showing me their pain activation. They are showing me their emotional triggers and how far they are from their immaculate core, their truest, highest potential self, a self that already exists. Being offended is a choice. It is a routine. If someone believes it is not a choice, and that being offended is somehow automatic and induced by another person, then a gigantic misconception is taking place. The pure flow of consensus reality is being distorted. Maybe quite innocently, quite by mistake, quite in just simple ignorance. We just don't know. Didn't know that, sorry. But the little tunnel of self is being confused with the big transpersonal tunnel of universal reality. What is it that distinguishes the person who is easily offended from the person who is not? To answer that question, we must understand the principle of the reservoir of discord. We each have a reservoir within us, this amazing piece of energetic technology deep inside. And it's specifically designed to accommodate what we might call negative emotional experiences. When bad things happen to us and we go, the reservoir stores these responses temporarily. It is a container where all challenging, negative, discordant, energetic configurations can be provisionally stored ready for processing and releasing later on. We all experience situations in life that will result in shock or sadness or trauma. And chaotic energies are created by these things. And they cause us pain, anxiety, despondency, agony, grief. All kinds of different flavours and intensities, but they are all pain. And when we cannot, for whatever reason, immediately process that pain, it is stored in the reservoir. The natural protocol is that once the challenging emergency has passed, we then go back to look at this chaotic energy, the pain, understand it, transmute it, and release it. You can't understand it if you haven't looked at it. You can't transmute it if you haven't understood it. You cannot release it if you haven't transmuted it. The reservoir is never meant to hold any great quantity for any great length of time. This is the principle of the reservoir of discord. And yet the wise listener will observe that that is precisely the mistake that we are trained to make. We shore up our reservoir, we acclimatize ourselves to it being full, and we go through the whole of life with this appalling weight and volume of discord in ourselves. I would say that we first become aware of this reservoir and its great volume of chaotic energy between the ages of 14 to 21, by which point it is already pretty full. What we do about it depends on the levels of intelligence, confidence, and skill that we've amassed up to that point. Depends on the wise elders in our life who teach and guide us. The spiritually attuned men and women who help to foster our spirit and mind and quality of being. If these skills and these people are missing from our lives, then we begin to actively divert ourselves from the horror of the reservoir. This is called complex ignorance, an ignorance that is willingly maintained with a heavy self-suppression that can last indefinitely. I would say that a good 80% of people live in this way. It's not evenly spread. You find communities of great awareness, great strength, low pain, great joy, just as you find communities that are ruined by pain. For those people, discord continues to amass in the reservoir. And very soon a point is reached where it starts to affect the whole of life. The sheer volume and pressure of this seething negative energy starts to impinge on one's natural interactions with the world, particularly with other people. The higher the level of the reservoir, the more easily people are offended. The waters are very easily disturbed. They boil over and splash everywhere with even the slightest upset, triggered by any damn thing, any random event, contentious or not, a contrasting idea, a disagreement, a misplaced word, the wrong shaped piece of fruit, the wrong trousers, anything. And different thinkers and writers describe and envision pain management and responses in different ways. The black dog of depression, the devil on your shoulder. Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body. William Burroughs talked about the ugly spirit. Different angles, but viewing the same phenomena, the same question of emotional abjuration. So we all have particular metaphors of our own, different ways of picturing the mechanisms at play here. This is my way of talking about it. I have worked hard on my reservoir. I have sought to equalize, release as much discord in me as possible. I've tried to empty it out. I discovered there was a gate in this reservoir, a sluice gate. And there is a mechanism that controls the gate. And it takes practice to operate it successfully. This is one of the things I spend great time and care with when I work with clients in private sessions. We learn to appreciate the purpose of the reservoir, not to store discordant energies ad infinitum, but merely temporarily, until there is the proper empowering space and wisdom to perceive what is stored in there, to treat it, understand it, release it. The longer the discordant energies and their pain reflexes have been there, the harder they are to empty out. Not impossible, nothing is impossible. It just takes more work. Little by little, cup by cup, ladle by ladle. Until, with work, serious commitment, like the water slowly draining from a bathtub, you look back sometime later and surprised at how empty it is. You think, wow, it seemed to be going so slowly when I was looking at it, but with the passage of time it's really emptied out. So when we are dealing with people who are easily offended, you can bet your bottom dollar that that person has a nice big full juicy reservoir. And they may know nothing about this. They have become so inept in dealing with discord that encountering any difference of opinion or belief or principle or idea or taste is reflected in very poor conduct by that person. They cannot control themselves. They are not masters of their own destiny. And for those people, the tripwires of annoyance are everywhere, ready to be activated without notice. And not only is it unwise to live like this, and very unhealthy, but such people are also frequently wrong and technically mistaken in their perceptions. They think that this was said, and this was meant, and it wasn't at all this, and it wasn't meant in that way. Their understanding is flawed. They got it wrong, and they frequently get it wrong, because it is not really about the specific matter in question. It's about the reservoir being disturbed by anything, the wrong trousers. This has been a long, hard lesson for me, this whole principle, to stop engaging with people who have gotten things wrong and gotten offended by it all. They think you think this, and you don't. They think you were asserting this view and you weren't. They got it all upside down and got offended. And in times gone by I would engage with these people in all goodwill And I'd be saying, well, I appreciate your view and I understand how things could possibly be interpreted in that way, but I assure you that this was not at all what I meant, and my intentions and hopes were good and positive. I always try to take into account different views, but I do feel on this occasion that this particular point justified a certain kind of treatment and blah 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 fucking blah. You know what, my good listeners? No more. That sympathetic ear has turned away, and that attention is now gone. It is done with. I no longer have the inclination, the time, or the heart for such things. I never should have done, but now I have seen the error of my ways and I have grown, changed, shifted the pattern. Now, if it is clear to me that someone is grossly misunderstanding something, and they are offended, and I intuit that their reservoir of discord is heavy, and the water is splishing and splashing around, not from me, but from years of filling it with untreated, chaotic mess, then there is an immediate, neutral end to the communication. A smile and a goodbye. Finished. We can only ever offend ourselves. People can certainly be rude and say offensive things, as it were, but our decision to understand, transmute and release those things is up to us. To be easily offended is to disavow the inner work, to fill the reservoir, to deny change. There are people who go around being rude and inconsiderate, and they are mainly unconscious people in pain. Nevertheless, they are consigning themselves to be little more than organic robots, sleepers choosing unreality and inauthentic being. Their intellect might be tickled by conscious stirrings, but their immaculate core is totally unknown to them, despite any outward appearance. Their power is zero. They have no idea who they are and what they're capable of.